Alright, so the Pittsburgh Steelers may well just be the biggest fucking loser of day 2 of the 2026 NFL Draft so far. Their picks go as this. Here is their picks. At number 47, they picked wide receiver Jeremy Bernard. At pick 76, they picked quarterback Drew Allar. At pick 85, they picked corner Dalen Everett. And at pick 96, they picked offensive tackle Jennings Dunker. The one pick I like is Jennings Dunker. I think Dunker is going to be a good lineman in the league, but the problem with that pick, which there is a problem with it, is the fact that you already picked a tackle. You already picked a tackle right now. I didn't do much scouting or research into both the tackles they picked, but I'm assuming they play on different sides, or they play on the same side. One of them is getting converted to a guard. So I'm assuming that Dunker or the other tackle you picked in the first round is going to kick over and slot over the guard position, right? Which they have to relearn some sort of footwork fundamentals in the whole shebang, right? You understand the point I'm trying to make. So then lies the problem with the 3 other picks you made on day 2. Jeremy Bernard, it's a consolation prize. You could have had Makai Lemon if you just traded up a spot or 2. And then you could have picked him. The Eagles were the only team trying to steal Lemon from them, and they just got complacent. And they even called him and said, hey kid, we're picking you. Welcome. You're going to be a Steeler. You're going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Congratulations, kid. Yeah, but no. The Eagles traded up as Lemon was being called on the phone by the Steelers organization, and just snuck right by undetected and picked him with that pick they traded up for to steal him from the Steelers. Just a classic fucking Pittsburgh sports moment. Just fumbling every single opportunity you get, no matter how they do it. They find a way to do it. So once again, Jeremy Bernard is probably going to be a average wide receiver 3, maybe a decent wide receiver 2 in the NFL, but I'm not crazy high on that pick. I think there was a couple better receivers they could have picked there in that position. Drew Allar, I think Branch would have been fine there because he was a sort of second-round projected player, but he fell to the Falcons. And then the Drew Allar pick at 76, just in the 3rd round. Just made no fucking sense. It's a stupid pick. I know they need a quarterback. They have Will Howard, they have Mason Rudolph, and the question mark is the most overrated quarterback in NFL history, Aaron Rodgers, who I would take Byron Leftwich over him in a heartbeat. But regardless of my personal opinion, he's still, slated to be in that quarterback room. I don't know if he's, signed a contract with him. I don't know. His playing status is up in the air. So you have Mason Rudolph and Will Howard right now. So you added Drew Allar into the mix there. What does that do? That doesn't really do much, right? Because you were going to have a shitty quarterback anyways if Rodgers didn't return. And Rodgers is at his advanced age, a pretty shit quarterback, to be quite frank with you. So you were going to roll in this year with a shitty quarterback. So why waste a top 80 pick in the draft on a quarterback that never produced in college, never did a thing, never showed flashes of consistency or a high-level potential? And a lot of you are going to say, oh, well, he has a very strong arm, he's very big, he has plus mobility for his size. I don't give a fuck. That's not what all there is to quarterbacking, because now how people scout quarterbacks is if they have a big arm, have plus mobility, and have size. You can't scout people like that. You have to look at, just their talent, what tools they possess, what they're putting on the game film. Ability to read coverage, IQ, decision-making, all that stuff goes into playing quarterbacking. Allar sucks at reading defenses. Allar is jittery when there's any sort of pressure. He is the least clutch quarterback I've ever seen. He never won a single big game at the college level. I mean, the guy is just a fucking horrible quarterback by every stretch of the imagination, and he was a 3rd-round pick because he has a strong arm and he's 6'5". And he's going to compete with Howard and Rudolph and potentially Rodgers for a quarterback, one of the Steelers, and they're going to lose 13 games, and McCarthy's going to have 1 year and will be fired. I'm not saying that's how it's going to be, but I mean, if you're if you are a pessimistic Steelers fan, that's what you have to be thinking. This team's fucked. Because they've had a horrible draft. They have had a really fucking bad draft so far. And then you get the Dalen Everett pick, which is just, this guy's, what, a 4th round projected player, a 5th round projected player. He shouldn't have went into the fucking 3rd round. But, you know, you reach for him, and he's at best going to be an average corner in the league. I don't know where exactly he'll slot in the lineup at. I don't know. And once again, I feel like there was much better defensive backs available to be selected. You could have took a chance on Jermod McCoy, even with his sort of, I think, degenerative ACL or knee injury that he has. If he heals up within a year or two's time, you're going to get a decent corner, like a sure thing corner. You picked Everett instead, and you're going to get, like, at best, an average player. So, I mean, an average player in the 3rd round isn't bad, but, like, there was something there that you could have got someone with high upside at that same position that you were drafting. And then the one pick I like, Jennings Dunker, I think he'll almost certainly kick over to guard because he already picked a tackle unless you're going to slot the other guy over to guard. I don't know what that situation is. They pick 2 tackles, one of them's going to guard. There's no fucking way both of those players are going to play tackle because that's just how it works, right? If I had to grade this on a scale from an F to an A, I would give it a D-. It's very close to an F. There's one pick that made sense, which was Dunker, and even that it doesn't make sense unless they're going to move him to a different position, which is guard in this instance. I didn't like the Bernard pick because they could have had Lemon if they were more aggressive. I hated the Drew Allar pick. I thought it made no sense. You do not need another quarterback in the 3rd round. You could wait till the 5th, 6th round to draft a depth quarterback. You could have, I mean, I would rather have fucking, I don't even know, I would rather have goddamn Garrett Nussmeier on my team. Garrett Nussmeier on my team than Drew Allar. And Nussmeier has a weak arm and he's a dwarf. But I mean, at least he's not the drizzling shits in big games and all that stuff, right? The Everett pick to me at 85, I believe, didn't make a lick of sense because there was much better players available on the board when it comes to secondary and defense. Just something that doesn't make sense. And that's the theme. None of the picks that they made make a lick of sense. And I know a lot of diehard, like, you know, Pittsburgh fans who are more optimistic are going to say, oh, well, you know, you just wait and see. Have you seen what some of the other teams in the division are doing in the draft? The Ravens are having a great draft. The Browns are having one of the better drafts of any team. The fucking Browns are actually drafting well for once. They're trying to build around Shaduki Sanders, which is, once again, just the stupidest fucking thing in the world, but it's going to crash, it's going to burn, they're going to lose 15 games, and fucking... it's going to be a train wreck, and Sanders is going to be benched by week 4, but at least they're trying, right? With the Steelers, it feels like they're trying to put on a facade of trying, but they're fucking failing. They're failing at it so miserably that it's not even funny. It's such a shit, I mean, it's just such a shit draft. Like, the Steelers have no idea what they're doing. It's like they're throwing darts, they're literally they're covering their eyes with their hand. They're throwing darts at a board that's like 5 inches, and they're hoping, okay, well, one of them has to be a bullseye, right? We have to hit a fucking grand slam with these picks. You're not going to hit a grand slam with Drew Allar. He doesn't have what it takes to play in this league. He's just not cut out. He's like Christian Hackenberg on meth. And that's not good when you're Christian Hackenberg on meth, man. So once again, they get a D- grade from me. I just don't like the selections they're making so far in this draft. I feel like they're actually going backwards and making their situation worse for themselves. I don't think this is a playoff team whatsoever. While their defense is probably going to remain rock solid, their offense is going... I know they added Pittman and all that, and I think Dowdle and all that stuff, but those aren't like guys that are going to be X factors that are going to be why they win games, right? And with your quarterback situation up in the air, picking Drew Allar when you didn't need a guy like a Drew Allar in your QB room makes things way worse than it should be. And it's hard to understand, man. I just don't get what they're doing. And that's how I'm going to end this video. Thank you all for watching. This has been Mr. Truth, and this was nothing but the truth.